All right, in today's lesson, we're going to start solving logarithmic equations. So here's the plan. So you may want to pause the video and write this down in your notes. We're going to first condense to a single log in the front. So all that condensing we did yesterday is super important because you don't want to have multiple logs to solve. You only want one. So condense it to a single, then you're going to swirl that middle term out of the logarithm, and then we'll solve it. Now there's a caveat here. It says be careful that you can't take the log of a negative number or 0. And here's why that is. So I put this little note here. Here's the parent function of the logarithm, right? Notice that when you put in, remember we have an asymptote where x is 0? Nothing can be there. So x cannot be 0. That's why it says it can't be 0. And also when you put in a number, it can't come out negative because it doesn't even exist over here where x is negative, right? You can't end up with a negative x because the graph doesn't exist. So if you were doing this in your calculator, it would come up with an error because it can't exist where x is 0 and it can't exist where x is a negative number. And this is exactly why. All right, so I just want to bring that up to you as we kind of keep that in your back of your mind as we move forward, okay? So let's look at number 1. Condense to a single log. Well, this one's already condensed to a single log, thankfully. I don't have to do that step. Next thing I have to do is to swirl out the x. Look, your x is in the logarithm, so I want to swirl it out. So this will be 7 to the negative 1 equals 3x. Now, remember what 7 to the negative 1 means. That means 1 over 7 equals 3x. Now, I would put this over 1, so we have a proportion. If you have a proportion, then you're just going to cross multiply. So I have 21x equals 1. Divide both sides by 21. So x is equal to 1 over 21. And then I do a little check. Is my x negative or 0? No. So it's good to go. Let's try number 2. The x, notice, is inside the logarithm, so I swirl it out. So I have 3 to the 0 equals 4 minus x. Now stop and think. What is 3 to the 0? Well, that's always just a 1. Okay, now we're going to solve for x. That's all we're going to do. So if I move 4, I'll have negative 3 equals negative x. And if I just switch sides so it's positive, x will equal a positive 3. Number 3. All right, single logarithm, so I don't need to condense, but I'm going to swirl out that x term. So it's be 2 to the 3rd equals x over 2. Well, 2 to the 3rd is 8 equals x over 2. So I'm going to put the 8 over 1 so I can just have a proportion. I like my x's on the left, so I'm just going to go this way. X equals 16. Look at that. It's done. All finished. All right, and number 4, log base 3 of 2x plus 6 equals 4. Now I need to isolate the logarithm, which is all of this. That 6 I don't need, so I'm going to move it to the other side. Okay, and I will have the log base 3 of 2x equals negative 2. Now we're back to the same steps. We're going to swirl it out. 3 to the negative 2 power equals 2x. All right. Now, 3 to the negative 2, remember, is 1 over 3 squared, which is 9, equals 2x over 1. I'm going to cross multiply now this proportion. I'm going to put my x on the left, so I'll have 18x equals 1. Solve for x, so divide by 18. So x is 1 over 18. Again, my x is not negative and it's not 0, so it's a valid answer. Let's try some more. All right, so look at number 5. First step is always to isolate the logarithm, right? Well, there's a 3 out front. We need to get rid of that 3. This is all the logarithm we need. We need everything else gone away. So we need to get rid of the 3. It's being multiplied, so we undo that by dividing both sides by that 3. Now we'll have the log base 4 of x minus 2 equals 1. Now we're ready to swirl it out. We can't separate this part right here. It's in parentheses, so leave it alone. But we can swirl it out of logarithm. So we'll have x minus 2 equals 4 to the 1 power. Well, what is 4 to the 1? It's just 4, right? So if I move my 2 over to solve, I'll have x equals 6, and we're done. X is not negative. X is not a 0. We're good to go. Now number 6, there's a lot going on here. We want to isolate this piece right here. So we need to peel away the layers. So the first thing we want to do is move that 8 over. So we're going to have 3 times the log of x minus 25 equals 6. Now we divide by 3 to get that 3 away. And I'll have the log of x minus 25 equals 2. Now, let's swirl it. What's the base there? It's 10. 10 squared equals x minus 25. All right, what is 10 squared? Well, that's 100. So if I add 25 to both sides, or jump 25 over, that means x is equal to 125. And there's your answer. All right, that's how you do it. That's how you solve logarithms. And it's the beginning of many more lessons on this. So the equations will get more complex, but get this down, get these skills down, and then we'll add to them. All right, good luck. We'll see you in class.